So, July is coming, and I've won a book to read. A Vonnegut book. And if you think that's bad, you should see the puns I cut out. So, June is nearly over, and that means it's time to look at my July musts and maybes, because that's how time and the calendar works. I have a few things scheduled and also a couple of vague possibilities, so let's get on with it. The first of my scheduled reads for July is the next in the Ursula K. Guin reading group hosted by Gareth from Books, Songs and Other Magic, and our July read will be the 7th book in the Hainish series, 5 Ways to Forgiveness, which has actually been postponed until August. It turns out we're running a little bit behind on our live streams. We still haven't done discussion videos for The Word for World is Forest or The Dispossessed, so we're going to give ourselves an extra month to catch up on those and then pick up with 5 Ways to Forgiveness in August. Now, I've actually been really enjoying having a monthly Le Guin book to look forward to, and I think the momentum of it has helped me enjoy the Hainish cycle more than I have previously. So I might read something else Le Guin this month, maybe some short stories, but yeah, there will be some Le Guin, just not the Le Guin I was planning on. I also have a buddy read lined up for July with Lekden from Reading from the Depths. This will be our second buddy read together after we read The Trees back in May, and this is a reread for me. I can't remember whether it's a reread for Lekden as well, but we're going to be reading Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. I first read this in my late teens, maybe early 20s, and I've read it 2 or 3 times, but certainly not in the last decade and a half, I think. So I'm really excited to revisit what I remember being an absolutely fantastic book. And I had a great time buddy reading with Lekden before, so I'm sure that we're going to have a really in-depth and insightful conversation about Kurt Vonnegut as well. So that's it for my musts for July, but what about my maybes? Well, they're very maybe-ish maybes at the moment, but there are at least a couple of reading events in July that sound really good to me. One is Rocket Summer, which is all about reading classic sci-fi. I think there's supposed to be a schedule of reading a particular decade for a particular week in July, going from the 1930s to the 1960s, the sort of golden age of sci-fi. I don't think I'm going to be able to stick to a schedule like that, although I think that Cat's Cradle would technically count as a 1960s sci-fi book, so I've kind of got that covered already, but I would like to also read some other classic sci-fi. I haven't decided what yet, but we'll see. The other event that sounds good is Private Eye July, and that is all about reading detective novels, but specifically ones with private detectives. So Sherlock Holmes, Poirot, Sam Spade, Philip Marlowe, those kinds of characters. And again, I don't have a specific idea yet, but I've got a fair number of Dashiell Hammett books that I wouldn't mind rereading, because it's been a long time since I went through my kind of film noir phase and ended up reading a bunch of books that inspired film noir. I remember Red Harvest being very good, so yeah, maybe I'll revisit Red Harvest. And as far as I remember, I think all of Dashiell Hammett's books involve private detectives, because he actually was a private detective before he was an author. But I'm also wondering if I could tie these two events together, because there must be some classic sci-fi with a private eye. I'm pretty sure there's an Isaac Asimov novel or two in there. I mean, Isaac Asimov was ridiculously prolific, so surely he must have at some point. I mean, I know that, like, iRobot has a detective, but I think there might be a police detective. But I'm sure I could find something that fits the bill for both. So if you happen to know of any classic sci-fi novels from 1930 to 1960s that involve a private detective, then please let me know in the comments, and I'll have a look and see if it's something that I fancy reading. Also, unconnected to any reading events, but just continuing my own personal reading project to work through all of Terry Pratchett's Discworld books in order, my next Discworld book would be Going Postal, which is the first of the Moist von Lipwig series or sub-series. I remember that being one of my favourites when I first read it a couple of years ago, so I'm definitely keen to revisit that, and I hope I can make some time for it in July. If not July, then surely August. But yeah, I'm excited to revisit that because I remember it being just absolutely brilliant. The bit at the end. So those are all my musts and maybes for July. I'd love to hear in the comments if you've read any of these books, or if you're planning on reading anything in July, if you have any reading events that you're taking part in, or if you have any recommendations for novels that are both classic sci-fi and private eye books, or whatever else is on your mind. I'm always happy to hear from you. Anyway, that's about it from me today. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I will see you when I see you.